the producers saw all the money that Star Wars was making. Star Wars, that was all the range, so they thought, why don't we put James Bond in space? And I'll try and add some reverb to that.
Yeah, you do that. Make the camera shake.
Hello, and welcome to episode 0011, or 0011, of the For Your Ears Only podcast. My name is Derek, this is Jack.
Hello.
And today we are going to be discussing Moonraker, 1979, directed by Lewis Gilbert. If this is your first time here, then please be sure to go back and check all the previous episodes. We've also got a number of different specials out. We have drink specials. We have recasting specials.
Yeah.
We even have a latest first time watching where we went back to watch Never Say Never Again. Never watching that again.
Never say never.
On our channel. So go back and look at those. But if you're here for the first time, welcome. And if you've returned, welcome back. So we're here to talk about Moonraker, which...
A controversial one.
Yeah, it's a divisive one. People either love this film or they really hate it.
Yes.
And I am in the middle because only recently have I watched it again for the second time.
Right.
I've kind of changed. But before we get on to that, let us watch Jack squirm in his chair as we go ahead with our usual challenge of the film in 2 minutes.
Right.
So, for those who maybe haven't been here before, we take it in turns to explain the movie and topic within a 2-minute timeline.
Yep.
You can't say James Bond stuff happens, you can't say spy stuff happens. You don't really need to say the names of all the characters, but do your best. And if you get to the end and you've explained the movie cohesively, well done, you win a prize.
Yeah, pass.
The prize is nothing.
You get to stay alive.
Yes, you do get to stay alive. So, we're ready to start the timer. And you just let me know when you've warmed up, limbered up.
This is going to be hard.
Do you want to explain to the viewers why you have a moustache? No, let's not do that. Let's get on to that after the 2 minutes.
It's not part of the film.
No. So, why don't you just let us know when you're ready to begin,
Right.
and we will go.
Okay, I need to get into the mindset of watching this film.
Into the mindset of watching this film.
Yes.
Bum, bum, bum.
Right. We've descended.
Okay.
Okay, let's go.
Wait, have you got notes there?
No, not in the film. Not
Right.
in the synopsis.
You turn that off. Okay.
Right, okay.
Ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so the film opens with a space shuttle called the Moonraker being hijacked. James Bond is then sent to find out what happened and how it was hijacked. So Q and M send him off to California. The person who's manufactured it is Hugo Drax. He doesn't trust Hugo Drax, and good reason, because Drax tries to kill him. In his first meeting, he meets somebody working there called Dr. Goodhead, and when he's snooping around, he comes across some documents that lead him to Venice. He gets to Venice and discovers that there's a laboratory there from Hugo Drax that's making some sort of poison. Also finds Dr. Goodhead is there, wondering why. Turns out she's actually a CIA agent working for, obviously, the Americans. Hugo Drax's men tried to kill him twice there. For some reason, he goes to meet Q in Brazil, I think, giving him a sample of this poison. Turns out it's from the Amazon, a sunflower in the Amazon. How long? They go to the Amazon.
1 minute.
They go to the Amazon and find out that Hugo Drax has a massive secret base there with all the stolen ships. They sneak aboard the ship. They end up in space, and Hugo Drax tells them about his plan to kill everybody on the planet and use an Aryan race
30 seconds.
to bring back his Aryan race, basically. So James Bond tried to kills Hugo Drax, destroys the base. The Americans destroy the base. He destroys the poison, and they escape back down in a spaceship. And that's it.
That was great. That was 1 minute 45. That was generally probably the most cohesive breakdown of that. A few things that weren't right.
Right.
The Aryan race.
Kind of.
They weren't all white. Aryan is like...
They're perfect specimens, he says.
That's not... Aryan to me is like white and blonde hair and very Nazi.
True. I mean, like, that's the only way I could describe it.
Okay, well, yeah. Yeah, that was pretty spot on.
I missed out that he fights Jaws. Jaws returns.
Hey, he left out Jaws, but I don't really think... Jaws is just there as a just fluff. He provides nothing, apart from the start.
Yeah,
the iconic start. So why don't we start at the start for that with the opening? Because
the opening scene.
That's the opening scene of James Bond coming out of a plane. Now, to my knowledge, this might be the first parachute fight sequence
in the series or
of any movie. I've never heard of a film do it beforehand. This is 1979. So
yep, 79.
I don't know. Why don't you tell us if you know better? Because we don't really know.
They filmed
anything.
it with like people actually, like they had cameras on cameramen's heads on their head. They had the camera floating down with them.
It was a logistical nightmare because it didn't exist, and the stunt man playing James Bond had to have a concealed parachute
just in case.
Yes, it didn't. It looks like he was wearing nothing, but the lenses they had were too heavy to put on a cameraman's neck because it would break his neck as soon as the parachute opened.
Yeah, sure.
So they managed to find I think it's a Panavision lens in this wee shop just in, I think it was France, and they were like, what is this? And it was plastic. All the lenses were glass. I went, no, this is plastic. No, it's just an old thing. It was just a prototype. They don't use it anymore. So then they took that lens and then they built their own camera out of titanium because it was lighter, put it on the cameraman, and the cameraman had a rope around his foot so he could control that the chute didn't open straight away and take his head off and stuff. Jaws can't. That's another point with this film. Jaws just can't seem to die.
No, Jaws can't die.
Jaws falls from several hundred feet and it's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Well, he falls into a circus tent. Yes,
that's enough to break anyone's fall.
Yeah, you should survive that.
Should be fine.
Just nice easy cushion there. Then he walks out alive, no problem.
As you do. Anyone can do it. So usually to start off, we talk about the history, and there is no historic moments which influence this movie as much as Star Wars. Star Wars is the thing. You said in the last episode about the next movie being For Your Eyes Only.
Yes, it was supposed to be.
And then the producers saw all the money that Star Wars was making. Star Wars, but that was all the range, so they thought, why don't we put James Bond in space? And I'll try and add some reverb to that.
Yeah, you do that. Make the camera shake.
So yeah, that's the whole reason.
Basically that was it. Because they seen how successful it was, they thought they would try and steal some of that and get.
I think it worked for a point. They did a huge budget for this movie. They just threw everything at it. I think it was like 35 million. Yeah. It was like the budget of the first 6 films combined.
Nice.
That they threw at this, and it made a good chunk of money.
It did. It made a good.
Not as much as Star Wars, but
no. How do you know how much Star Wars made? Like the original one.
700 million.
700 million, and this made
200.
200. But I did have a fact that this was like the highest grossing Bond film all the way up until GoldenEye.
Was it? See, I can see why. Like, before we went to watch this film, I didn't like it.
Same.
And I think a lot of people, and even if you have seen this film a while ago and didn't like it, go back and watch it.
Yeah.
Watch it, and then even watch the behind the scenes, because I think with like a lot of the movies, the book Moonraker is nothing like this.
There's nothing. We'll talk about that. So obviously Ian Fleming sold the rights to some company. They were trying to make up a script, but that never worked out. So the script was sold back to him, and then obviously Broccoli and all that took all the rights. So for nothing stays except the name Hugo Drax, the name Moonraker, and that scene, because it's about basically it's about a Nazi who hijacks a
London,
rocket.
Isn't it? It's
hijacks a rocket. So the only scene that stays is when they're like put underneath the exhausts, and try to get like fried that way.
And that's it.
That's the only scene that survived.
Because I think they did. I think it was essentially a case of like go big or go home here. We have to
Oh,
put
yeah.
everything. That's why there's so many countries. They were like, all right, so they start off. It was California, but then it wasn't actually California. It was actually in France. A lot of it was filmed in France.
Yep.
And do you know the reason for that?
I don't know why, but I knew that they had like a sort of. They had like a document signed that it was going to be a joint production.
It was tax.
A tax.
It was just the UK had changed their tax laws, so it was going to be more expensive to film in the UK. So they thought we'll do it in France. They booked out every studio in Paris, and all the film companies hated them because they booked out everything. And that's actually the reason for the actor that played Drax.
Yes.
He had to be hired. No, it didn't have to be hired, but they needed a French actor because of the
deal that they made.
The way that you film in France, you need there. So but then he was just genuinely a really good Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, basically as Ricky Gervais.
No, I thought
From The Office.
I thought he was pretty good. Again, I didn't think of much when I was younger, but then I went back and
I think he was dubbed. No, he's just a good English speaker. He doesn't have a French accent.
I think even behind the scenes, he does have a bit of an accent, but not a huge amount. I think if he puts everything he speaks as English, I think if you can put on enough of a voice, and it sounds okay. And
even his like assistants, like the female, whatever the helicopter pilot, is she not French as well? There's a lot of French people in this.
Yeah, I think that was it. Like the Palace is.
Yeah, obviously filmed in
France. Yeah, meant to be in California.
Yeah.
But then you've got that, you've got Rio, you have South America, just the jungles of South America. You've got that waterfall that's in South America. You've then got, where else is there? I just forgot of everywhere else.
Venice.
Went to Venice. Were they in Asia at any point?
No, I don't think so.
The only place it didn't go. So yeah, just all these different places. I think it was just throwing money. I'd just do this.
Do you think that's also in parallel to that? They have Lewis Gilbert has returned.
Yes,
the one who does the biggest James Bond films.
Lewis Gilbert's the one I think that hired all the studios, and he said we're building everything here. So then when he was having all the big sets, and they were like, oh, that was the other thing they had. They had the problem with the French because the French didn't want to work. They had brought the union in. And they said, no, we're all going to quit. And Lewis Gilbert, not Lewis Gilbert. Lewis Gilbert had, who's the set designer? Ken Adams.
Ken Adams.
He was trying to hire everything, and he was trying to build all these massive sets. I think at the request of Lewis Gilbert, and that's where all these like big sets come from, and such, which is good. But then I think the French brought their families onto set to work on set whilst they were there. So this was them getting like their Sunday and things back. So I thought that is quite good. That was quite good.
I think that Lewis Gilbert, this is his last Bond film, as far as I'm aware.
Is it?
But he seems to be responsible for the most bombastic films. This one, because he's on the moon. No, not on the moon. He's in space. The other one, where he's in a big nuclear sub that they had to build its own set for it because it was so big.
Yeah.
And You Only Live Twice, because that was another big giant rocket inside a mountain.
He just loves layers. Layers.
Probably got a blueprint for a layer and he just draws it differently.
Just goes, I'll have that one. Why don't we go into the questions now? I've realised that we don't actually have any questions written down. We just have scripts for questions. So I'm going to pick, I know the hard one. There is a really hard one, so I'm going to keep that, and I don't think anyone will get this. And if you do get it, then well done. But we'll start with quite an easy one to begin. So, as Jack said at the start, the Moonraker is stolen.
Yes.
There's a plane that's shuttling the Moonraker.
Yeah.
And that gets blown up and crashes.
Yeah.
Where does the plane crash?
Right.
Pay attention. So that is question one.
I'm sure M says, or somebody says.
I think it's really quick.
Yeah.
It's like on the screen, actually, I think.
Oh, right.
I think it just comes up and I just went, I noted that. So if you get that, then well done. But that's not even the hard question, so you know what kind of episode we're in for. So yeah, I think the movie was quite big in terms of involving all these different countries.
Mm-hmm.
The story is far-fetched.
Yes, to say the least.
Yeah, to say that this... Because then, what I didn't understand is the reason Jaws turns is because
he's not part of the
he puts into doubt oh, you're not here, and then Jaws is like, oh, maybe I'm not. But then every single person in the queue was just like, or the crew was just average looking people.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, why are you here? Did you think that you were going to
survive
be fine? Why are you like? That's what I don't get about a lot of like villains. Like, what's their motive? Like, what are they doing here? Are they quite happy to be sacrificed? That's what I never really understood about
all the different henchmen and things.
Yeah,
or just like, the people that work the computers in the background.
Yeah, do they not know what the business plan is? They don't know what's going. They surely know they might die or what they're doing is illegal.
For a villain.
It's kind of like it's like No Time to Die. I thought we would be past this when they're all in the farm, and I was like, "What are you here for?"
In the Garden of Death, but
yeah, and it's like, do you know what this is? Do you know why you're here? Do you know? Do you realize that your boss is evil looking and like creeps about? Why you? I don't know.
Yeah, so George realizes that he's not part of this sort of perfect race or perfect kind of characters, and then turns on the bad guy. So a nice redemption story, paralleling Star Wars, I guess. Redemption.
In what way?
Like Darth Vader becomes good in the end.
Does he?
You don't.
I've never seen it.
And that hadn't been written yet.
No, that's true. Actually, we don't know. You'll have to tune in to 1982 or 3 or whatever year it came out. After that, so yeah, a big movie, a lot going on with it. Something that is in this movie, I'd say more so from other films, which doesn't really get the same attention that other films get as the gadgets.
Yeah, well, that was it. When you were talking about it in the way here, there is a lot of gadgets, but from memory, I wouldn't have been able to tell you a single thing before rewatching it.
Only the dart gun.
The darts from his hand that's like Spider-Man.
Yeah. It's so impactful, yet it's so forgettable.
Yeah.
He saves himself by shooting the centrifuge thing.
Yeah,
but then he kills Drax with it.
Yep.
And don't even care. Even Hollywoodhead has gadgets.
Yes.
But most of them are gone. So like the
James Bond uses them up in the hotel room.
All of them. He kills the snake with the
he does
the pen thing. One thing I thought was quite funny is like he has the X-ray cigarette case. And then the assistant goes, "Oh, that's quite cool" or something, and then he does that and he holds it to her chest and he goes, "Oh, your heart," and I was like, well, you just given her cancer.
Exactly.
This is so strong. So there was that. There's the mini camera that says 007 on it.
Yeah.
There's the wrist dart gun, the gondola, which was just a bit naff. I don't really know what was going on. Apparently Roger Moore kept falling off that.
Right.
It wasn't that good. But then see,
I can imagine.
See when they go through St Mark's Square with the gondola.
Stupid.
The police couldn't clear people.
Yeah.
So see when they're driving through people, he's
people.
genuinely, it's just a crowd of people, and they said, "Oh no, they'll get out the way." Because they'll see you come and they'll move. So they just set up some cameras and there's people diving out the road. Those were people who were just like it. Because the police were trying to control them. People were like, "Nah, I want to see the movie. I want to see what's going on here." But Roger Moore was on it and he was like, "Look, I'm going to have a hard time controlling this." And they went, "Oh no, it'll be fine. Just go and drive through the people."
Drive through all these people.
Yeah, the gondola, again, I don't really know why it had all those gadgets. Then there's like the speedboat. Why did it have all those things?
Yes.
Like the torpedoes and stuff. Then you've got the roof with the paraglide thing.
Oh, right,
Roger Moore loves to paraglide.
He does love flying.
And the watch with the explosives, which was quite handy.
There's so many characters in this.
There's a lot, but they're all integral to the story going on.
Yeah,
but I think it's just
gondola thing's a bit crazy.
I think it's just they're so diluted with everything else that's going on. From like the space battles and
you're too focused on the fact that they have laser guns now.
Yeah, the laser guns, even the stunts. I think the stunts in this were really good. Like so, the skydiving stunt we've said at the start,
that was
which was good. I think at this point we'll talk about the Bond moments because, well, the stunts are the Bond moments.
Yeah.
So the skydiving intro. Which is quite iconic. I don't really know why. Where was Jaws in the plane? Was Jaws in the toilet? And then he just appears.
He's a bit big for the plane.
So
see him.
But it was quite good that I think a lot of other movies have tried to take that as well, of jump without the parachute and go and steal it. Like What's that movie with Keanu Reeves? Oh, I can't remember it, but it's a very iconic thing of jumping out of the plane and
Yeah, I'm
and
pretty sure
grabbing
he
the parachute.
reuses this. James Bond does it again, and probably in a couple of films.
Oh, probably.
I think a Daniel Craig film or something. I don't know.
The gondola in St Mark's Square, which again was a stunt, I'd say.
The gondola itself, yeah, with its like that had rockets or guns on it or something. It had it turned into a hovercraft, obviously,
Yes.
to get on the land.
I seen that I really liked. I don't even know if it was a Bond moment, but I thought it was actually probably one of my favourite of the entire movie, and it could have been longer. Is see the clock tower fight? That was like straight out of like Skyfall. See
Yeah,
all
yeah,
the
yeah.
lighting, like because it was the
True,
orange
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
the blue lighting, and it was a whole fight, and you could see there's like he's going to go through that clock,
Yeah, he's
and you
gonna go
can't
through the
wait for it
glass.
to happen,
Uh-huh.
and that was really good, but it's not long enough to be a Bond moment. But I just thought that was good. I was like, that was interesting. And then the final one I've got for another Bond moment is like the paraglide off the waterfall,
Yeah.
just because it's so James Bond.
That is-
Like,
it's
oh,
just
we're going to
typical.
die. Oh no, I have this, and that's
Glider.
typical.
Yeah. One of my Bond moments, when I think about Bond moments, it's the bit where they're hunting pheasants and he shoots the guy in the tree.
Oh yes,
That's a kind of a cool one. It reminds me of the he's got the point thing.
yeah.
It's a bit like that.
I didn't get why Drax immediately wanted to kill him.
I know, all he did was come and say, well, not say sorry, but he came to like, I'm going to investigate this for you. And then immediately goes, make sure he comes to some harm.
Yeah, and it's like, why? Like, surely that's even more suspicious. Like,
Yep.
what's he going to find? He's not going to find anything.
No.
But now you try to kill him, and he's like, right, well, I don't
These guys
like
are obviously
you.
bad.
Yeah, but then you know he's in the place. Why would you not just put security
Yep.
in your office? Get a guy to stand outside your office. What are you doing?
Why do you have to kill him? How are you going to report back to your friend at the bridge club, the guy, the Ministry of Defence guy? Oh yeah, your guy came to say sorry and he died. Under mysterious
That
circumstances.
spy he died in a centrifuge. Why was in there? Don't know.
don't know.
I don't know. I don't know these things. The dogs ate him. That's another thing with the dogs. Like the assistant that then she showed up in a golf cart,
And I was like,
and
get
then
back
I was
in
like,
the
get
golf
on the golf cart again. I was like, why like? She get fired and then she just walks into the forest. Where are you going? The road's that way. Like surely that's the way out.
Get back in the golf cart, you'll escape.
Oh no, I didn't really get that bit. But I suppose that was just
that scene. Now I think about it, the music in that scene was pretty good. It was like sad John Barry strings because it was like we all know this kid was going to get killed.
yes. Was it John
But,
Barry?
yeah, it was a good song. That
Actually, I think that the music to me is where I'm quite divided because, and I've put it here. I was like, I think the song is underwhelming,
yes,
but I think the music for the movie is perfect. It's very space age thing.
Yeah,
I think
it
they've
is,
taken that
definitely.
on board to put it there. They've came out of like
got the
the
brief.
yeah, they've came out of like the funk music that was
Yes.
The Spy Who Loved Me.
Apart from
And-
right at the end.
Yes. And they've, I don't know, they've put the kind of music of like wonder through it, but then
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know if they'd maybe try to match that with like Shirley Bassey's song. I just don't.
Well,
Uh,
Shirley Bassey came on at the last minute because they had a guy called Johnny Mathis, if we know who he is. He was actually recording the song in the middle of like production, and then for some reason never finished it. So at the very last second, they were like, "We need to find someone. Let's get Shirley."
I thought you were going to do something cruel, like Johnny Mathis singing it, and then Shirley came in and went, "Stop, out.
I will do that.
I'm taking over from here."
But she never wanted to do it really, and she's only ever played it live once because she's like, I never really had a big part in it. Wasn't really my song, and I don't do it in my shows.
Yeah, because even in the documentary, when she was talking about the music, she said, "Oh, this song just didn't really go down
Yeah,
that well."
probably because it didn't do so good as her first two. She's like,
That's probably
rid of it.
actually. She's probably back off because like, I didn't like that song. I didn't like it, and other people didn't like it. But
yeah, but then they make a disco version at the end credits,
Did it?
Yeah, over the end credits, it's like a disco version of.
Oh yeah, but even at that, that's
Moonraker.
still it's still kind of in with the theme of the movie. That we underlying theme is still there,
Yes.
even though they add some 70s to it.
They
It
had
still works.
they had this Johnny Mathis guy lined up to do it, but before that, they also had Frank Sinatra. They wanted Frank to do it.
Again,
They wanted him to do a dual role. They wanted him to sing the song and be Drax.
they wanted Frank Sinatra to be Drax.
And for some reason, it never happened.
I'd have to say that would be a terrible
Because
casting.
by then, he's an old guy. If you've seen pictures of him in the 70s, he's an old guy.
I don't know if it would work because does it work having a really well-known actor as a villain? It worked with Scaramanga, but
And I guess No Time to Die. He was pretty well known. He was already.
surely
Freddie
everyone
Mercury.
is well known now. Like
And-
Javier Bardem
Yeah, I
is
was
well
going to
known.
say.
Sean
John Bean.
Bean, yeah. Bobby Carlyle.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot his name. Elliot Carver.
Oh,
Jonathan.
yeah.
Jonathan Price.
Price,
Yeah, so I don't know. Like, I think this film is a risk of. If I was to sum it up, I'd probably say the film is crushing under its own weight.
Oh.
I think they've done a lot to
Yeah.
it, and nothing really stands out.
Yes.
In the Bond moments, I had to really think of the Bond moments. The whole film is consistently good, but isn't
there's no
there's not
standouts.
any bit that's actually great.
Yeah, I don't know if it also just can't quite shift the fact that it's like James Bond in space.
Yeah.
They can't quite get rid of the fact that that's a bit stupid, ridiculous.
Yes.
And there's laser guns and they fight in space. And Jaws is there.
Yeah. Why Jaws? Why? Like now that I think about it, the amount of times that Jaws didn't die, so he fell
Yes.
from great height.
A cable car.
He went through a building of a cable car
Yep.
unscathed. What else happened? He fell off something else, I'm sure.
I don't know. At the end, James Bond kind of hits him, and he doesn't feel anything. That's just like
No,
it
but he
doesn't
said,
have
but
like
he's trapped in space, and then
Yeah.
him and the other woman are like found. But then surely were they intercepted, or did they just land on Earth?
How did they land?
And they were fine.
Yeah,
There was something else he did, and I'm trying to think of where else he was. The waterfall.
the waterfall.
He went off the waterfall and then was completely fine.
Mm-hmm. And in the last film, he was fighting sharks, completely
Yeah.
fine.
Apparently there was one moment where you
swam.
didn't see him. That was an alternative scene where they added at the end of him swimming to show that he was still alive
Oh right, okay.
because they thought it'll bring him back. And apparently a lot of kids wanted him back. Why?
I can kind of see that. It's like you want the coolest villain to always,
They
like
wanted-
Darth Maul. You wanted him to come back,
Yeah, they wanted him back, but they wanted him to be a good guy.
and
I
that's
think that's why
he's
they brought him in. They changed
his
him over.
redemption.
A woman changed him. This mysterious woman who appeared out of nowhere and suddenly went, big man, let's just go somewhere where you're space? Okay, let's go to
Let's go to
space.
space. I'm the same size as your leg. Let's
Yes,
go.
you qualified? It doesn't matter. How would... No.
How did she get into space?
She just went with him.
Did you just plus ones in this rocket?
You're my guard and my henchman. Is she your guard? No, she's just someone with you. Okay, that's fine. You can bring her along.
Yeah, well, the fact that, James Mason, the actor,
Yes.
he's like the bad guy in North by Northwest. He was also originally cast, but because as Drax, but because it's supposed to be a Anglo-French production, they had to have so many French actors, so which is why this guy.
Politics. Well, they could have just paid the tax, couldn't they? They still filmed it in the UK. They still used the 007 stage.
Yeah.
But then just went, it's too much tax.
Yeah, maybe it's a time thing. They only spent so many hours there. I don't know. But I think you're right. It's a bit... It is a good film, but there's so many things that date it like the 70s. It's dated. It looks dated. They're in space. Too many kind of things chip away at its kind of legacy. I think to make it.
I think it's trying too hard. You think it's trying too hard to be Star Wars, or do you think it's trying too hard to? What's it trying to do? Like, what?
I don't know if I just can't. Sometimes I just can't get away from it. Just being, it's basically just a cash grab.
Yes.
Film, and rather than being authentic.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I think it's still good. But if we go on to the special effects, I would do question 2.
Okay, you can do question 2.
Titillate the senses. I don't know. What's a good question for question 2? This is an easy one. This is actually an easy one.
Okay.
So in Venice, when James Bond is fighting
Chang,
yes. In the middle of the room, there was a very expensive bowl. How much was this bowl that was then inadvertently smashed with everything else? That was a record for that. But that was the most glass broken in that.
Yeah, they destroyed every single thing
everything.
in that room.
So that was question 2. Yeah, I think my appreciation for this movie came into place when watching the behind the scenes of how they did it.
Okay.
There was so like the camera scene with the free fall was one thing where they had to completely rebuild something to make sure it was possible. Then the waterfall sequence without that, like that was just generally off the second tallest waterfall in the world, and how they did that, and the boat initially got stuck, so they had to attach a guy to a harness on a helicopter to like float down and try and push the boat off, and it wouldn't budge, and the water was like trying to push him over the edge and such. And
there's no safety.
Then obviously with Star Wars there was a lot of brand new visual effects they put in place, but then with this they had to film 3 different takes on one film reel. So they had like the Earth.
Oh, right.
And then they had the stars behind. But then when a ship goes through the stars, because it's different reels, you would see the stars through the ship.
Yeah.
So they then had to time it to move the stars out the way of the ship. And that was just what you had to do back then.
Yeah, with your different... Okay.
And then it was the same with the space base and how to reveal that with like the sun showing it and how it would all work. And then the zero gravity, how they'd have a room of people completely on harnesses, and how you would how you would and it was all good. Like there was no point where I was like, oh, that's not real, because I was watching myself going, have they slowed this? Have they just got people to slow right down? But I was like, nah, they wouldn't have. That would be even harder to
slow
down
a
really big frame rate and then slow, because you would need so much physical like film reels. And I was like, how's that? Because then the hair's kind of floating as well. And I'm like, how did they do that? And then you see it in the harness, and I'm like, but the hair bobs
the hair's moving
slowly. So like things like that, and I'm like, this was very ambitious to do all this, and there was so many like deadlines to meet. There was obviously filming in different countries at the same time, and there was all these different crews all over the place, and then the French were going on strike, and there was a lot. And I was like, this is actually just a really hard movie to make, and yeah, it's like quite good. That's all I can say. It's quite good.
We're looking at it from a different perspective now. We're looking at it technically. Now, if we're technically, it was a good film. Is what we're kind of saying
here.
It's
like a craft.
Yes, like I appreciate the craft and how it was made, but on the face of it as a story, not the best film.
I think it was probably the most ambitious movie, because the story is not all that great. It's, if anything, I think the formula for this movie is kind of been taken by other films to a new level. I think if I think about it now, see, the formula for this movie is very, very similar to No Time to Die.
Yes.
What country are we going to? All the countries. Why? Because we can. Yes. What brand are we going to put in? All the branding. What was in Moonraker? We had like 7-Up and like British Airways. British Airways billboards. So, and then you've got a villain with an evil plan for not really any reason whatsoever.
No, what did it say why he wanted to do this?
Nope.
Like, some childhood trauma or something. Why did he?
Something I don't know, because he just I'm going to wipe out this, and then you're going to be the only ones who are fertile. So then you'll go down, and then you'll make your progeny, and we're going to start, and then they'll look up to the space and see that there is an order. Like, what? Why? Like, why?
Yes.
Did you just get too much money and too bored, or I don't know. Yeah,
same as No Time to Die. There's no explanation to why he wants to kill everybody.
Yeah, why are you doing this? Just because I can. Yeah, but why? Because someone hurt your island when you were younger, and you managed to survive, and what?
The world has to pay.
Oh, we'll just accept it, and that's
Uh-huh.
If James Bond died in the Moonraker, like he needed to destroy the poison before it was getting there, and the only way he could do it was by he would run out of lasers, he ran out of shots, he only had to fly into it to destroy it and himself. It would be the exact same movie.
Yeah.
They're the exact same film. I think about it. So they're very similar in that, where they're just maybe that's the problem with No Time to Die. Maybe other than the fact that the ending is not what people wanted. Sorry if you've not seen it, but if you're here and you've not seen No Time to Die, then you have no excuses.
Yeah, well, yes, it's not the ending that people wanted.
Yeah, and he shot all over the place for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
It was just before you got to the end of the movie, you were like, where have we been? Where have we been now? Like,
I need a new passport.
Yeah, it's like you've just firing all over the place because you can, or technically not going to Cuba, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's his downfall. Maybe just trying too much, being ambitious.
Too much happening.
Yeah, being ambitious. I think maybe getting overly excited, given the fact that the budget was so high as well, and then not paying off as much as you would think.
The effects are good, so much so that they had I think one of the first ever nominations for a Bond film at the Academy Awards was for.
They won an award for this movie, not an Oscar, but like a movie. But I think there was a
Golden Globe.
There was a visual effects, or was it cinematography or something like that?
Well, I know they had the nomination for visual effects at the Academy Awards at the Oscars.
Didn't win it.
What
did they lose out to?
Don't know. I never looked that up.
Not in space. Yeah, like. It was good.
It's a bit. Do you think I keep looking at Drax and thinking that's Elon Musk? That could totally be Elon at some point.
Give it a few more years,
because he's SpaceX. He's got his own rockets.
He's obsessed with going to Mars. He's like, no, we need to get to Mars. We're going to die if we don't get to Mars. And it's like, right, are we going to die in the next 50 years? No. Then why don't why don't you just just chill,
because
mate.
He wants to be able to go to Mars himself. We can't wait 50 years. He's already like 50.
Just send them.
But you need the money. We need his money to
we can all chip in. Just put a rocket and go, right, bye.
He could totally be Hugo Drax if he wanted to be. I've actually used him in the last film. He could also have been the last villain.
Yeah. What you're telling me here is like white men with money
do not trust Elon. But he's got a space company.
Yeah.
And he also talks about how the world is underpopulated.
Yeah, but so is Richard Branson. They say Richard Branson looks more like Hugo Drax than Elon Musk.
Yeah, but he's a kind of nice guy.
That's what they all want you to think, is it not?
Whereas Elon, I don't think he's that nice of a person.
No. Self-admittedly in his book.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Anyway,
enough about Elon Musk taking over the world. I think one of the things that again gets a wee bit lost in this movie is the James Bond isms and like the lines. So I only had 2 lines for this.
Yes.
One was the Python. I discovered he had a crush on me.
Yes.
It was like,
I had that one.
That was good.
Then there's like the overwhelming one that everybody quotes from Q.
At the very end. I never wrote that one because I was like, is that a line? That's Q's line?
Yeah, but everybody knows it.
Yeah, I think he's attempted re-entry.
Yes, that one.
I also put he had to fly.
Okay.
For when Drax goes out the door.
Yes.
Doesn't actually fly. I was like, Roger. I think you'll find. So yeah, again, it was hard to find lines.
Mm-hmm.
Just the whole the whole part of the movie was just all like 6 out of 10 throughout, just
sure.
keeping it steadily entertaining. Apart from, actually, I say steadily entertaining. No, there's a few sections where it's like, what is happening here? Why was he on a horse with a poncho?
Yes, what was that whole thing about? It's obviously just an homage to like how the West was won or something.
I don't
but
know.
why?
Yeah, like all he
And
was taken, and then he's suddenly on a horse and a poncho within the space of 10 seconds.
Yes, and then there's Q's very racist lab where he's like all these guys in ponchos and
Yes.
and sombreros, and then they become guns. They like the guy opens up. He's just like a big weapon.
Yeah, who's that for?
This Mexico going to war.
I bet it's what it reminded me of when I managed the Secret Service when James Bond knows everything. Now this might be the least believable character, but this is like, even if Sherlock Holmes did this, it'd be like, nah, he doesn't know that. See when there's like, oh, what's this? And Q says, I've analysed that sample, and here's the formula. And James Bond goes, oh, I know that formula. And I'm like, how? And he knows the formula from this ultra rare plant, and he knows the name of the plant, and he also knows where the plant grows in the Amazon. And I'm like, wait, what? You don't know this?
And M's like, good work, James.
Yeah, like,
it's like, you don't need one up Q. Why would you do that?
I'd be suspending him. I'd be like, no, you're involved here. To know a formula of a rare plant, even the world's leading botanists. Yeah. If you were to say, think of the rarest plant in the world, right? That, okay, I want you to draw that formula for me. They'd be like, no one knows that. No one can possibly know this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like on a mouse Secret Service where he just knows everything about butterflies. Yeah. Everything about everything.
Butterflies in the last film, Majesty's Secret Service, everything about heraldry.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was all about that. I know he's golden boas and stuff.
Speaking of balls, it was the bit where he goes, balls Q, and he's like, bolus, 007.
Is that back to the races? But
I laughed at that.
Speaking of people in disguise, are you going to tell the audience why you've got a moustache?
To give them the real story. Yes, I am wearing a mustache. It is fake.
We are in October.
Yes,
we are filming this.
Right now it's October, and I'm growing a mustache as part of my Halloween costume.
To go as?
And I'm going to go as Salvador Dali. So it needs to grow pretty fast so I can get it up. Or I might have to, as I said, enhance it with a fake mustache or pen or something.
And you need to go back to watch an episode with Live and Let Die to explain why Salvador Dali is involved in the James Bond world.
There's a Bond connection there.
Big rip-off merchant. Speaking of Halloween, did you know, I've been waiting to tell you this for a while actually.
Right.
So, because it's Halloween season, a Halloween film is Van Helsing. You've seen Van Helsing? 2003, 2004? It wasn't 2005. It was 2003 or 2004, I think.
With Hugh Jackman?
Hugh Jackman, yeah.
Yep, I have seen that.
So, that film is contested. People
I
either
liked it
love
at the
it.
time.
I love it. I think it's a great movie, and I'll always go back to watch it every Halloween. Now, the reason that Van Helsing was so popular with a lot of audiences is it was written as a James Bond movie.
Oh, right.
And I thought,
I did not know this.
So, see if you go back to it, it's a skilled person of legend who goes around hunting villains.
Yep.
He has an assistant with him that makes gadgets and all these other things. Goes to this other far off land where people are under control with this villain and need a hero to come and save them. And everything else that happens throughout it, like the gadgets and the carriage and booby traps and such like that, disguises, is meant to be like a James Bond movie, but with horror themes.
Like a blueprint they've taken from James Bond to make this.
Where James Bond is sent by MI6, Van Helsing's sent by the Vatican.
The Vatican.
We were there last week.
I was in the Vatican last week.
Yes. Good. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. And it made sense. I was like, I see why I liked that so much as a wee boy. And still like it now.
Familiar.
And there's a lot of movies like that now where it's, here's a guy, give him this, like,
Mission Impossible.
Yeah, and just give all these gadgets and these new things to use and at his disposal. And I thought, that's interesting. That's why I like Van Helsing. Plus, it's also just a good movie.
It is a good film. I like it.
Go back and watch it. Next episode, we're going to look at Van Helsing. No, I'm not going to look at anything like that. So we've looked at the gadgets, the Bond movements, the lines, the music. I've answered all the questions that I need to
I've got something that I only discovered today with some last minute research was the missing 1956 version of this film.
What?
There was remember when I was saying that Ian Fleming sold the rights to some company and he never used it in time, so he ended up getting the rights back.
Mm-hmm.
But during the time he had sold it to this company, there's a rumour went about that only resurfaced a few years ago that Orson Welles had created a script for a Moonraker adaptation in the 50s, and he was shot a full film and it never got released and nobody knows anything about it. So apparently this news leaked on a April Fool's Day like 10 years ago or something, and so everybody thought it was just a joke. But then since then more and more evidence have came out to the point that
evidence like what?
Like a poster was created for it from like 1956. Orson Welles, Moonraker, and he plays Drax in it as well.
Right. This will be the original story where it was like missiles to destroy London.
Yes.
Okay. Right.
And what else is there? Apparently there's like 40 minutes of shot footage somewhere in a can.
Somewhere.
Yeah. And I scoured the internet to try and find it to see if it was real, but I can't find it.
How long did you spend?
Like
5 minutes.
This is
Moonraker 1956. No results. Ah well, okay. Try again tomorrow.
I'll get back to everybody. But apparently that would be really good because for some reason I've been watching a lot of Orson Welles stuff, like interviews.
Why?
And it kind of, I don't know, it was on like BBC 4 like a couple of days ago, and I was like, this is interesting.
What else was Orson Welles in?
Citizen Kane.
Oh God, I knew I'd said the name before. I hate that film.
Yeah, I've not watched it.
Don't. I got that film because everyone
Rosebud.
spoke about it for so long, and I was like, right, I need to watch this and see what it's like. And it took me 5 attempts to get through it because there's something about black and white films. I fall asleep at black and white movies. I can't stay awake at them.
It's more that I just feel there's no attention span for
like
old films.
40 hours long. It feels like that. I kept going back to it and going. And then I finally finished and I was like, right, that's where the name, that old Rosebud comes from, right. And I put it away and I was like, I'm never watching that again.
Another Orson Welles connection is that he plays Le Chiffre in the 67 Casino Royale.
Does he?
Yes.
Is that what we're going to watch next?
That'll be part of another special, maybe. But yeah, apparently he has a 1956 film version, or at least partly filmed. And it may or may not be an April Fool's joke. But
if you know more about this, please tell us.
I like to think that's real.
I think it'll be so un-James Bondy.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's locked away for like legal reasons.
Probably.
Maybe it's in the vault in the Vatican. You should have checked.
I should have checked.
Steal everything and hide it away. So, why don't we go on to question 3 and then we will do the ranking of this. Now, I'm gonna do the really hard question.
Okay.
If you get this question correct, I will be very impressed. Because it took me 3 watches to try to work out the answer.
Yeah.
So
you just need to write in this answer.
Yeah,
you may get a real prize.
You need to let us know. We might send you a t-shirt or a mug. Because it takes a good bit of focus. So when James Bond is in Venice, he goes into a lab where he finds this poisonous vial. Now he presses the keypad, and the keypad makes a tune from a famous sci-fi movie around the time. What is the key code for the keypad? It is a 5-digit number, and it took me 3 attempts to try and work out the code. That last digit was really hard, but I did actually work it out.
Nice.
So if you know this number, then you let us know, and I will be very impressed.
Very
and
impressed.
I'll also go, Lucy. But, I will be very impressed.
You'll
if you
get,
that.
like a retweet.
It's not even. Yeah, it's not even as much as like just paying attention. It's like actually trying to like
Detective work.
look at magnifying glass on the screen.
So, does that mean we can talk about what the song, the tune was?
Yes, you can.
Right, so obviously when he types in the code, it plays the tune for Close Encounters with a Third Kind.
Of the third kind.
Of a Third Kind.
You have to do the tune now.
I don't know what it is. That's it.
I don't think the start was right, but
Yeah, so are we going to get sued for that?
yes.
For a little leitmotif. But apparently, yeah, obviously Broccoli had to phone Spielberg and say, "Is it okay if we use this tune?"
And he went, no.
And then he was like, "Absolutely not." And he was like, "Yeah, that's fine, as long as I can use the Bond theme in one of my films coming up."
Right.
So there's one film, I can't remember the name of the film, where
Schindler's List.
where he uses the dun 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 dun. Gets as a sort of trade, but apparently Broccoli was like, "Okay, I'm taking 5 notes from your song. You can only take 5 notes from the Bond song." But apparently he let him do the full thing, which is good.
What's the movie?
I don't know.
Is it Schindler's
It's
List?
definitely not Schindler's List.
Benny! Oh, that turned dark there.
And yeah, so apparently Spielberg was supposed to be directing a Bond film, but he ended up, George Lucas took him to do the Indiana Jones films,
Oh, yeah.
and he ended up turning down. So, see, before we do the board,
Yes.
I have a debate because we have time.
You have a debate?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
The answer is no.
Jaws' girlfriend
Yes.
is called Dolly.
Yes.
Did Dolly have braces or not?
Now, now this is the Mandela effect, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Because it was always assumed that Dolly did have braces. Dolly does not have braces, but
It's
she does have
assumed.
glasses.
It's assumed she has braces, and that's why they have that connection, because he has metal teeth and she has metal teeth. That's what everybody's mentality is. That's why they like each other.
Oh no, I just thought. I don't
They
know.
have that physical common ground. So
The only thing.
So apparently there's many YouTube videos about this Mandela effect, about how many people thought she had braces and then she actually doesn't. So I watched the Amazon when it's on Amazon for free for some time. Watched that.
James Bond Day, yeah.
She doesn't have it. I watched my DVDs. She doesn't have it. But there are videos on YouTube of people like VCR recording it from like the 80s, and she does have it.
Definitely has braces.
Definitely has braces in like the 1981 VHS.
But why would they remove them?
I don't know. I can't. I don't know.
I know they can paint out wires, but why would they take the time to paint out teeth?
Yeah, why would they paint out the
What part of the
braces?
story does this?
Because, well, it makes more sense. Or they like each other because he has teeth like that and she has teeth like that, rather than some scary guy.
But why would
And
why
some
would
little
they
girl.
why would they paint out the braces?
No, the
What's the theory?
theory behind it is because she's got braces, she makes her look too young to go out with Jaws.
Right.
So they
Not
Yeah,
the
brushed
not
it
the
out.
pigtails.
Yeah, well, the whole look, I guess. But the
Right.
braces would accent it.
This was the 70s. I didn't think people thought about that. Unless there's like some kind of time traveller.
But I don't know. I don't know if the videos that I'm watching, people have just like
You can't trust
Put
them
in-
nowadays. Yeah.
put in braces and to say that they already had it or not. But I've
This is
seen
a video.
I've seen both. A good Mandela.
There must be
effect.
some ground to it because people do query things. It's kind of like the Pringles man. Does the Pringles man have a monocle? No, he's never had a monocle, but people think he has a monocle.
Or Pikachu having a black tail. He doesn't. It's all yellow.
I thought it was red.
Pikachu.
Oh, it's his back is red, isn't it?
No, his cheeks are red. Red circles.
He's got red lines on him, does he not, at the back?
I don't think so. But he has like,
We'll
does
have
he
to
not have like black tipped ears and they
Yes.
people think he has a black tipped tail, but he doesn't. It's all yellow.
It's always yellow, yeah.
That and what's the other Mandela effect that everybody thinks?
Right, it is. Tell us.
There's loads of them. Like the VW logo. Is it VW or is it all one? And it's like two separate.
It's a V on top of a W.
Yes.
Yeah.
But is there a space between the V and W?
There are on new models. There's a line between them.
I'm going to get some up because
You're very off topic here. Like,
the Mandela effects are
whose turn is it to do the actual rating this week? I forgot who did it last. Is it your turn to pick and then my turn to change, or?
It's my turn to put it on.
Okay. So why don't I describe to the good folks what the ranking is right
not.
now? What?
Because I put it second, didn't I?
Did you?
And then you
Changed it. We last did The Spy Who Loved Me, and yes, that's all we have to say. So the order we have right now is obviously Goldfinger on top and Dr. No at the bottom, unfairly. And you can see where the rest of them land. Jack is busy Googling Volkswagen logo.
And I've also found C3PO is a Mandela effect.
Why is C3PO a Mandela effect? What about C3PO is not hard to remember?
Because he's not all gold, he has a silver leg.
I don't think that's true.
It's a silver leg and everything else is gold.
But he's shiny, like it must be hard to see. Why did... No. I don't believe that.
You
But
have to
again,
watch
it's
it.
not something I've paid attention to enough.
But that's actually in the story because at the Empire Strikes Back, the fifth film, he gets disassembled and put into boxes with other droids of the same kind, and so when Chewbacca has to hastily grab all the bits, he grabs a silver leg instead of a gold leg.
Nerd. So, we have Moonraker here. Will I do the placement and then you do the adjustment, or do you want to do the placement?
I can't remember how it went the last time.
Why don't I'm going to give this to you,
Right,
and
okay.
you're going to choose where you're going to put Moonraker, and then I will adjust. So the rules of this part of the show is that one of us assigns. Why are you putting a video on? What are you doing behind that board, Jack? Is Jack or one of us decides where the movie we've just discussed goes on the board in relation to the other movies, and then it's the other person's turn, in this case me, to adjust one of them. Now it can be the one that Jack's just placed, or it can be any of the other films. Now if you've watched the previous episodes, I can't wait to get my hands on Diamonds Are Forever and lower it every single time. And Jack's job is to defend that and put it back.
No.
I'm allowed to move it wherever I please.
You're allowed to put...
But Jack has to rank Moonraker where he thinks Moonraker should go.
Moonraker should go... I'm going to put it right here.
Right. And now it's my turn to judge where this goes.
I put Moonraker pretty far down. And Derek has to choose whether to save Moonraker or to kill Diamonds Are Forever. But I stand by my decision. You can only move one, remember.
I know, I'm just...
So we have one move each, and mine is...
I have moved it down one. Or actually, no, I've not moved that. I've actually moved that up one.
Oh, you've
So, the ranking is getting closer to its true potential. So the ranking we have after 11 episodes is...
from the bottom.
From the bottom, we have Dr. No which I think is unfair. But then again, it only got better from there. Then we have Thunderball, then Diamonds Are Forever, which is still too high. Then Moonraker, You Only Live Twice, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Live and Let Die, The Man with the Golden Gun, From Russia with Love, The Spy Who Loved Me, and Goldfinger still on top. I wonder when Goldfinger will get knocked off. However, the last time we were talking about this, we kind of bashed Moonraker and the next few films because we thought they were going to be terrible. Now, I was pleasantly surprised Moonraker going back and watching it again. However, I cannot say the same for the next movie, For Your Eyes Only, because I know exactly what I'm going into for that. So,
well, I don't know. I think my opinion has largely remained the same, that on face value, it's a bit stupid.
Yes. I think we actually took it apart quite well. It tries too much.
Yes.
Too quickly. Quite rushed. Good job, but just maybe didn't pan out.
Overshadowed by the fact that James Bond is in space.
Overshadowed by its own ambition.
Yeah.
There we go. That should be on the back of the VHS. One star.
1 star review.
Overshadowed by its own ambition. Nah, that wouldn't be fair. I think it was a good attempt, but I think that's why it's kind of divisive.
Yeah, because it's just a cash grab.
Yes.
Just face it. It is.
Good. This was a good analytical episode. We spoke about everything. Becoming more professional. Kinda, except you watching videos on your phone. Talking about Van Helsing and Star Wars. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us on this episode. As we said at the start, if you have not seen one of the previous episodes of the specials, go back and watch them. If you're watching us on YouTube, then please subscribe and like the video and share it with your friends and family or even enemies. Let them know. Let them know you hate them as well. If you're watching it on Spotify or Apple Music, which is the two biggest streaming platforms, then make sure that you rate and follow and like and something else with that. And yes.
And if you're feeling really generous and you want to support the podcast, we do have t-shirts for sale.
We do.
And mugs for sale.
Yes.
On our website. And you can also donate money through a website called Buy Me a Coffee, which we have renamed Buy Me a Martini.
Yes.
Thank you.
And we will see you next time, which will be episode 0012 For Your Eyes Only.
Yes. The namesake of the podcast.
For that one. Anyway, thank you very much for joining and have a good day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.